Good evening and thank you for joining us. On the same day, Americans are memorializing one of the most important figures in the civil rights movement. Police are cracking down on protests in several American cities. In a moment, we will take you to the scene of Congressman John Lewis's final crossing over the infamous bridge in Alabama, the site of what became known as Bloody Sunday. But first, to the fierce face-offs across the U.S. as demonstrators clash with police. President Donald Trump's decision to deploy heavily armed federal agents to quell the protests appears to be having the opposite effect. Jennifer Johnson has our top story from Washington.
Unrest in Portland, Oregon and Seattle, Washington overnight as protesters set fires and destroyed property. The Black Lives Matter march in Seattle started peacefully but turned violent as demonstrators targeted the King County Youth Detention Center. Some used sledgehammers to shatter workers' cars.
They slashed all four of my tires. They broke my back window out. You know, I just got off work. I want to go home.
Police and federal agents used pepper spray and tear gas against the demonstrators. Shots rang out. People can be heard screaming in the streets. In Portland, there have been daily protests against police brutality for 2 months after the death of George Floyd in Minneapolis. Things had started to quiet down until U.S. President Donald Trump deployed federal agents to the city July 4th.
It's horrible. Being tear gassed is horrible. It's painful. They mean it to be painful.
President Trump claimed he sent the federal agents to these Democrat-dominated cities to maintain calm and protect the federal courthouse building in Portland. But their heavy-handed tactics have led to solidarity protests across the country.
No, you can't have a call. No, you can't have a lawyer. We're just going to terrorize you, terrify you, intimidate the crowd so you don't come out and protest. That's not American.
White House officials say federal agents aren't leaving Portland until these demonstrations calm down.
We have federal agents there that are protecting a courthouse that actually has not only been vandalized, but they're trying to burn it down.
In many places, tensions are reaching the boiling point. Protesters wanting an end to racial injustice, opponents growing weary of the chaos. In Austin, one protester was shot to death. In Colorado, this car barreled through a group of demonstrators. Protests turned violent in Richmond, Virginia, too. Police in riot gear fired tear gas and rubber bullets to break up the crowd. Anger and frustration still spilling out onto America's streets long after Floyd's death was seen by the world. Jennifer Johnson, Global News, Washington.